Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another JACKOCAR Cup Series race. It is, of course, round 11, Qatar, and the regular season is normally done and dusted by now, but with the elongated season, it has this race and one more to run before we reach the conclusion. And another week goes by where it baffles me how long it takes for the stream link to appear. So if you join the stream really quickly, you then got this large delay whilst you wait for me to start speaking. It makes me sick. It really does. Someone else it makes horrifically sick is my co-commentator this evening, Mr. Matt Lester. Welcome back. How are you, sir?
Hello. Yeah, great to be back. I'm well. Excited as always to watch these fast drivers. I say fast.
Drivers.
Don't mean it. Or drivers. Yeah, don't mean all of them. But yeah, looking forward to this one. Qatar, a good track, a track you have to attack. And I think it'll be a fun one.
Good. I can't wait. You can hear the joy in our voices, as you can hear. As you can see, only 17 drivers, and that's why we are also horrifically sick. The likes of Ben Shaw, who should be here, is not here, and also missing this evening we have Leroy, Michelle, Ben Harrott, Catboy, and the big dropout, the big name Gareth Hall, who is driving back from a wedding, I'm being told, in my left ear, because the right ear of my headset does not work. OKK spins on his outlap. In place of those, Owen Wyatt is back for his second and final race this season. Tony Kirkpatrick, race winner last week, is back once again, and Dustin Rolko of Germany and the Kia Series makes it a 17-car grid for now. It may rise to 18 though. No jokers this evening, and stage points come at the end of lap 20 and 22. They were decided by Jamie Griffiths and Mike Kelterborn respectively, which is why they are ridiculous laps. Any thoughts on that, Matt Lester? Or shall we just get into this?
They are ridiculous laps.
Yep. Thank you. That's all I needed, by the way, from you. Normally the drivers are left sometimes, not every so often, but every race or two apart, I will let them decide the laps for me, and they're normally quite sensible suggestions, but this week they are not. So here we are, lap 20 and 22. Let's go on board with Michael OKK as he brakes heavily down into turn one. You can throw this about a nice wide exit, the same for turn two, but it does tighten up here, as you can see, before it kinks to the right. Of course, JACKOCAR back in Qatar, where Khalifa and Pete had their coming together 2 seasons ago, and then just at the start of this year, or middle part of this year I should say, Khalifa come back here to win his second Cup Series title. No Khalifa on this third visit, unfortunately. He has been the star of the show on both occasions. The reason I talk more about Khalifa is because OKK is setting an abysmal lap here. We are still on board with him. Hopefully he can make the second half of it look a little bit better. It will at least be a benchmark. He has somehow managed to keep it valid thus far. And once you get into the flow, get into the rhythm of this track, it's one of those that really does come to really fun to drive. And certainly now one of the league's favourites as he runs a little bit wide but keeps it valid once again. No, he doesn't. Invalid for Michael OKK. But we'll finish the lap with him as we come round the final corner and down this long old straight. DRS on the left there, and then across the line of 25 dead. Next up, I believe, is a nice little gap, which means that Danny Quinn will be the next car for us to look at.
It's actually Baldwin.
Barry Baldwin, the lobby owner, runner, host, whatever you want to call him, but he has brown on his car, Matt Lester. It's disgusting. Is it brown or is it bronze? Either way, it looks awful.
Yeah, no idea what he's thinking there. If I wasn't sick already, I am now. I'll get the bucket at the ready. Do you need one? Because I'll send one over for you.
No, but do feel free to kick it when I'm stood atop of it, looking at this. It's making me think awful things.
let's hope the time is better than the car.
Yep.
As he comes round the last corner. Barry Baldwin, just keeping it within the lines on the final turn exit. Comes up to the line. 24.4 is the benchmark.
There you go. So from Barry to Danny Quinn, who advises us, I think this is an excuse, by the way, but if you've been in the Cup chat, he advises us his internet is appalling. A bit like his driving standards. Was it 3 races this season he's crashed out of intentionally for no real reason, but here he is. It's a shame as well because Danny Quinn does actually have a lot of pace underneath him once he gets going. Once he stops the moaning, he is actually a very capable driver, and I do expect this to go pole this time around, beating Baz's a 24.4. We're about to find out. Then Danny Quinn over the line, it goes a 22.8. I wonder if it'll stick. It is Mike Kelterborn next in a very nice shade of red, I must say.
Yeah, looking quite nice. I wonder if his time will be as nice, but that's a good time from Quinn. So this is going to be interesting to see who can challenge that time first. Mike Kelterborn now of Kia also, so regularly driving now in JACKOCAR twice a week. If you didn't know, Kia on Tuesdays, tune in. But here comes Mike. What can he do? In the shade of red that Jacko likes, it's a 23.5.
Yep. And Mike Kelterborn, by the way, the 3rd highest driver in all-time starts in JACKOCAR, 165 starts tonight, which is 138 in the Cup Series. Now there's a small gap here for Ben Shaw, who I believe may be intentionally away to try and better his chances of getting into the chase alongside the likes of Gareth Hall, who is genuinely at a wedding. That's what he says anyway. Anyway, Jamie Griffiths has started his lap. The colours are very reminiscent of the light blue and the white, at least, of the Martini Williams. But then there's an element of modern Williams with the dark blue on there. He's actually done a very good job with the very limited amount of livery templates that exist in this god-awful game. But this is Jamie Griffiths. And I must say, Matt Lester, we've been awfully professional so far. Something must be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on, to be honest. I was about to swear and say what an absolute job Jamie has done. Because he did lick the wall and invalidate, so it's just a whole mess. So I would say it's more of a modern Williams and a Logan Sargent for that lap.
For sure. And speaking of licking things, here is Jori Haselager.
Oh, yes.
As the professionalism suddenly drops. He is a chief window licker. At least that's what I've been told. I would never say it if it was likely to be untrue. But the Dutchman, he knows a thing or two about windows. And he runs tonight a orange and... what colour is that? Slightly bright grey on his car. I haven't really got much more else to say about him because he's not that special. Final corner then for Jori Haselager, and by not that special, I mean not that talented. He is certainly special as he goes P2.
A tiger-like livery for such a predator of a man.
Yes.
Moving on, Speed Knighton, Pete, with I quite like this livery actually from Pete. Quite dark purple. You're not going to see him coming, and will he be setting purples as well on the track?
And Harry, are you familiar with the usual line that runs in commentary on Pete's qualifying lap?
You just called me Harry.
I've done it again, haven't I?
I'm getting really, really sick of you. I've had it up to here. I'm throwing the mic off. I'm throwing it off.
Okay, so whilst Matt Lester throws his mic away, it is 152 races now without a win for Pete Knighton in the Cup Series. That was what I was going to tell Matt Lester, but I accidentally called him Harry Collier. I'm sure he will get over it. Next up, is Sullivan Lewis. He's done a bloody good job on this livery. Reigning Kia Series champion. I hear Matt Lester is back. Thoughts on this man?
He's Sullivan Lewis, and he's got a bit of a weird livery. He goes quite fast. Will he go fast? Yes. 123.444 fast.
Fast enough.
Fast enough. Another man who's pretty fast, Nick Egan, who's running a pretty similar livery to that of Pete Knighton with the dark purple. And I think Nick Egan is probably going to be our first driver. Oh no, sorry. Pete Knighton did take provisional pole, didn't he? But I can see Nick Egan getting up there and squeezing into the middle of Pete and Quinn.
Just where he likes it. Of course, Nick Egan in the club card shootout duel. That against Jordan Lane. 1 point separates them with this week and next week to go. The one with the most points after all 3 races will take 10 playoff points into the postseason with them. So it is a very important battle, I must say, especially Nick Egan missing the first 3 races and then some with his wedding at the start of the season. He goes 3 and a bit tenths clear of Pete Knighton, but it's a new provisional pole lap. There is a gap after Nick because I believe Leroy Hazelager didn't want to turn up, which what it does is it puts Dustin Rolko at centre stage in the Cup Series. And I'm sure Matt Lester, let me get it right, I'm sure you're going to ask me, how many times has Dustin competed in JACKOCAR? Well, Matt Lester, as you so kindly asked, the answer is 32 tonight. And who drives the number 32 in JACKOCAR? It is Jacko, of course. What a man. That's one way to make something about someone else more about me, isn't it? That's cleverly done.
It's not like the league is named after you either, is it?
No.
Not at all. All about the people. All about the people, Mr. Ricketts. And enough about you. Let's see what Dustin does for his time. As he stands in, it's a 24.5. It's a respectable time. At least he keeps it within the lines, unlike some others, not going to name names. That does leave us a bit of a gap though, Jacko, and someone who's starting the lap, Casper, with a very funky looking livery. Has he gone to the 60s or Miami vibes?
Do I somewhat like this? I don't know. I'm undecided. We'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come back to that and we'll look at Jordan Lane, who is actually next to cross the line. You missed that, didn't you?
I did.
Jordan Lane, not the Matt Lester cares, goes third. Oh, you know what? I don't know why I do that. I don't even do it intentionally.
He's done it so many times. So many times.
I know.
Just this season as well. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Harry, you need to get lost, mate. I'm sick of you.
I tell you what, it might be because of your sabbatical that you had. I'm just so used to saying Matt Lester, and then all of a sudden Matt Lester wasn't here, so we had to acclimatise to saying Harry Collier, and then it just hasn't reverted back now that you're both here.
I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry that you
I know. He is underneath Yori Hazelager. He is top window licker, is Harry Collier.
Regularly seen on the back of buses.
Oh, yes.
Not the red ones.
How's my licking? 0800 000 1123. And it's fastest lap then for Casper. A whole 6 tenths clear of Nick Egan. He has been sweating, has the Finn. What? Look at me go, guys. Look at me. I set the fastest lap, is what he'll be saying. Corey Dalton. Do you like that, by the way? Have you ever heard my Finnish accent?
No, but I generally didn't know that you were still in the party then.
Ah, did you think it was Casper?
I did think it was Casper.
That's good to hear. It means I've nailed that impression. Casper said last week he wasn't impressed with it, which means he's lying, because of all the impressions that I can do, that is the best one.
You just didn't want to boost your ego on your impressions.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's enough of impressions. Here comes Corey Dalton, someone who I believe gets rattled the most about football results. 21.8 for Corey, and he comes in P2.
Good lap as well. Yeah. So from someone who's hard as nails, as he calls himself, does Corey Dalton, to someone who is soft as shit, it's Tony Kirkpatrick, last week's race winner. Finally a race win as well. Took him 5 attempts to do so, but he was always knocking on the door. And once someone let him in, he what did he do? Well, he hung his coat up and went to the kitchen and made himself a cup of tea. He's made himself at home, has Tony Kirkpatrick and JACKOCAR, with another potential provisional pole. I'm sure it'll stay there. Next up is Arnaud de Grief. And by the way, Jess Ball did make it into this lobby, so she won't qualify, but she will make it an 18-car grid. We don't need Ben Shaw. But this is Arnaud de Grief. Let's go on board then for the second half of this lap. I was about to say he's the all-time record pole sitter, but that would be incorrect. He has 20 poles. In front of him is Ben Shaw on 21, and the record still stands with Khalifa El Khalifa, who has 28 to his name. Will that record ever be beaten? A good lap here for Arnaud to put him on pole will certainly be a step in the right direction. Ben Shaw seems to be washed and fading as time goes by, but Arnaud still has it in him, does he? Across the line, it's only P3 for now. It leaves us with 2 to go. Matt Lester, Owen Wyatt is first. We join him in sector 3.
Yeah, the man's gone from comms to track, his second race of the season. Can he compete with those in the 21s at the top? He's looking good as he's coming up to the final turn in his lime green car, pushing all the way onto the exit, coming up to the line. He's just outside the 21s. It's a 22 P6.
Poor lap from Owen Wyatt. He's never been on pole in JACKOCAR, would you believe? But in fairness to him, he hasn't had that many races, just the 7 prior to tonight. But here's someone who has had many races, 116 of them, in fact. And it's Jake O'Sullivan looking to become the regular season champion for the 3rd time in his Cup Series career. 16 pole positions to his name and an incredible amount of wins. 15 of them, in fact, puts him 3rd on the all-time Cup Series list. And I wonder if he will be seeking to get another tonight. Got lots of playoff points to take himself into the postseason. He'll be looking to do something with that and maybe become a 3-time Cup Series champion. Jamie Wright and Khalifa El Khalifa, they will not be doing it. Both of them retired from the league. Jake O'Sullivan with this one opportunity in season 10. Can he maybe make history and never be beaten in the league? Uses all the curb on the exit, across the line, and it's only P2. So it's Tony Kirkpatrick on pole once again, and that is his 3rd in 6 races, a 50% hit rate on poles. Tony has done it, but Jake is very much there with him, along with Casper in P3, and then the Belgian P4 of Arnaud. Corey will start P5, and Nick with the advantage over Jordan Lane by 3 whole positions, which could mean quite a big deal come the end of Austria next week. Matt Lester.
It could indeed. It's going to be an interesting battle between Nick and Jordan in this one. And I'm looking forward to this race. This track doesn't give you any chances if you get a corner wrong or blocking up anywhere. But there's your qualifying order. We won't go through it because the one's lower down. Jacko, we don't care about.
It's all right. I'll do it.
Okay, you do it.
So Tony, Jake, Casper, Arnaud, and Corey I've just done. It's Nick 6th, Owen Wyatt, and a lowly P7. We expect better than that. It's Pete Knight in P8, Jordan P9. Quinn somehow squeaks into the top 10 with his dodgy internet. And you know what, Matt Lester, the rest of them, we don't care. They're too slow to get a mention. So there you go. I've got one little thing to say to you. And that is the refreshing taste of Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Oh, you thought that was a can of whoop-ass or something, didn't you?
I did. I thought a Duff beer.
Maybe next week.
Such an American wannabe.
I love it. Who took pole? Tony did.
Tony took pole. My two favourite parts of my body are my toe, knee.
Oh, I like
he's
that.
Also on pole. Yeah. It wasn't very good. Don't say that.
It's the best joke I've heard in the last 30 seconds.
Yes.
And in fact, it's so good, I'm now going to charge my controller because it's telling me DualSense wireless controller is low on charge, and I really should have preempted this, but I didn't. So here we are, midstream, doing it right now.
Midstream. So no jokers this evening. Stages are lap 20 and 22.
Ridiculous stages. They're so close together.
Ridiculous stages, but it's something to think about for everyone. So it'll be interesting to see what strategies the guys and girls go for this evening.
Yeah, no, I think you are correct. It is just the one girl this evening, Jess, because Kieran isn't racing. So
yes.
Guys and girl. Obviously doing our bit for equality with that 17-1 split in favour of penis. What more can I say? It's formation lap time. Expect one of the speed drivers to usher their way towards the front, most likely going to be someone like Sullivan Lewis. In fact, we will preempt this and we'll go on board with him now. He's actually had a bit of a laggy start as he lets all the field pass him, apart from 3 of them.
He's doing quite the opposite then. He wants to go to the back.
Here he goes. He's woken up. My God, look at that steering angle. And look at that spin. And he'll be thinking that the commentators won't be on board with me. They are. And someone's lost some front wing in front of him. That's quite impressive.
Michael, maybe?
No, Sorry, Michael was the car that went over it. And Mr. Rolko and Jess Spall have come together. So yeah, there really isn't a lot to say at this point. I don't know how Owen Wyatt does it. He must make it up and talk a lot of garbage.
Oh, someone else rounds. Everyone's just testing where the barriers are on this formation lap. They're just going, there is one over there.
And the shot,
I'm safe.
The shot that I'm currently on board with will show how wide this track actually is. You will do well to hit a barrier. But hopefully, Matt, we can get some good racing in. It has provided good racing in the 3 races we've had before. Obviously 2 in the Cup Series, 1 in the Kia Series, a race which I nearly won, but I didn't. So we won't talk any more about it. But yeah, Tony, Jake, Casper, Arnold, Corey. It's a formidable front 5. I do remember the Season 8 race here where Corey, I think, needed a result and then really quite struggled, but every so often would come back into it and then fade away. But the front 4 are there going to be constantly fighting, which is what we hope for. Maybe Corey can make more of a name of himself and be more of a nuisance, which we know he can be. Nick versus Jordan in the club car duel. That's going to be an exciting one to watch. The first time we've done that ever. 3 races to decide who takes the 10 playoff points as we see a car off into the wall. It's Sullivan once again. And that is the formation lap. So, as ever, not as ever, but the stage points come tonight at lap 20 and lap 22. There are no jokers, there is no Gareth Hall, there is no Ben Shaw. But there is Matt Lester in the commentary box, so what more could you want?
On a Thursday evening.
On a Thursday evening. It's the pinnacle of esports. JACKOCAR, Primetime and Cup Series all culminating here in Losail, Qatar. We have no lights, so we're going to make it up. But JACKOCAR is underway once again in the Cup Series. Tony gets a good start away from Jake, and will Casper and Arnold follow him down to turn 1? At the moment, it's going to be Tony who just about holds on to the lead. There is contact. There's also wing damage for Arnold as the 4 of them scrap. I think Jake will not be very happy about that one, but he does somehow take the lead and we will have to confirm it to you, but I believe it was also Jake with the damage as the three of them and Arnaud fall into what is now turn 3. Is there contact further back? Matt Lester, did you see? I believe Mike is P18. Virtual safety car.
Yes, Mike did go and look at barrier. He's now under the virtual safety car. No front wing. Yuri's got a 10-second penalty. It all sort of kicked off in those first few corners in the midfield, and I believe we've got the safety car on its way out, according to my track map.
Yeah.
So expecting this to change very soon.
I have that as well on my screen, viewers. At the bottom right of your screen, you'll see what is now turn 2, the little yellow car going around with a little yellow dot, even. So yeah, it says VSC, but we will assume it is a SC, which means we can have a little break.
We will. And Arnaud, I don't know if you mentioned, he's missing an end plate.
Oh, it was Arnaud, was it? Thank you. I mentioned it, but I said it was Jake.
I've got you. Don't worry, my boy.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, it got a bit rough in there, in and around the fifth place mark, as we see. It was Tony got some damage.
He must do.
I'm going to go on board. Let's have a look. Jordan and Quinn's retired.
Interesting. His internet must be that bad that he has decided not to run the rest of this race. So barely one lap complete for Mr. Danny Quinn there. And of course the game is going to spit his car out onto track. And that'll be in the way, I'm sure, which is fantastic. So we are down to 17 cars. Yuri Hazelager is on intermediates. He must know something we don't.
Rain in Qatar.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
we did say Yuri is a bit of a window licker.
Yeah.
He is proving us all right.
Yeah, this is the full extent of his licking abilities here. Inter's on a very dry, probably 50-degree track. Never been to Doha or Losail, but I do know it's very hot. So this is probably a tyre choice that he will regret. Wouldn't you think?
Yes. I can't even stick up for this man.
No.
My prayers are with him, because he's clearly losing brain cells by the day.
Oh, you can see it as well.
Yeah, it's really hard watch.
Anyway, for those drivers that all just pitted, for those of you that are new to JACKOCAR, pitting under lap 1 or 2, or following a safety car in after it's been out, are classed as non-mandatory stops. It's a 2 mandatory stop race, so Arnaud and Tony will have to stop again, twice, as does everybody, including Yuri. Even putting intermediates on does not give you a free passage to make one stop and make the Inters last for 28 laps. That will not get past the stewards as he pits here. And Matt Lester, I don't know if you've noticed, but have they changed the pit lane this season? Did it not used to go around the inside the final corner?
Yes, before you even got to the final corner. So that threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I was about to say Yuri's going to actually stay on his Inters. And then he just dives into the pits out of nowhere. So yeah, it is actually on the exit of the final corner now. So that's interesting to know.
You were thinking what I was thinking, but neither of us said it. Because we were both like, nah, the pit lane starts at the final corner. But yeah, there we go. So some brain cells regained by Yuri as he comes out 21 seconds behind 16th place Mike Kelterborn. Jake O'Sullivan has led these 2 laps behind the safety car. Good evening to Kaya and Superintendent Chief Window Licker Scott Hayes in the chat, as well as the 8 other people who are there as well. Thank you very much for joining us on this fine Thursday evening. Where else would you want to be? JACKOCAR in Qatar, round 11 of the regular season. There's still a long old way to go, trust me. In fact, we go another 10 races after this, would you believe? which consists of Austria, which concludes the regular season. Then it's the postseason. It's Brazil, Italy, Canada as round 1 of the playoffs, followed by Miami, Austin, Vegas in round 2. Paul Ricard, the super speedway, makes a second return this season, followed by Mexico, as we make up a 2-race third round for the round of 6, I should say. And then we turn the lights off, I should say, as we head to the twilight-infested Abu Dhabi circuit at Yas Marina. But who knows, Matt Lester? Because apparently some people are begging for an 11th season. This is what I hear. This is not what I know. So I cannot comment because, as far as I'm concerned, this is very much the end. 10 races to go, and Jake O'Sullivan is going to get us back underway for this one. As he lights up the Qatar night sky, we are racing properly now. As we head on to lap 4, then lots of movement further back. The safety car pulls into its pit box, and Jake O'Sullivan retains the lead over Casper. Then Corey Owen Wyatt's made his way up to 4th, but he fights Nick into turn 2, who gives him that position. Pete Knighton, 4 laps in, hasn't spun yet in that purple machine. The car behind Sullivan Lewis has spun 3 times already, all of them on the formation lap. Jordan Lane sits P8, Dustin, the Kia Series driver, going well, P9, and the 2 guys we did want to keep an eye out for even, Arnold has dropped to 13th, up to 12th now, and Tony Kirkpatrick is 15th. Yellow flags for an absolute collision of madness there. I didn't really know what was going on, but Pete Knighton has dropped from 7th to 11th in one corner.
There's end plates flying everywhere. Tony's got damage again, missing an end plate. There's at least about 4 or 5 cars missing end plates on this opening.
And we're on board as Arnold gets collected into the wall. That was contact with Tony, and I'm going to assume Jordan as well on his outside. Is there a puncher? Nope. I think he gets away with that. Is there damage? Yes, indeed there is. So damage once again for Arnold de Groove. Sorry to interrupt, Matt Lester, but we were on board with that as he got collected. It was almost like Arnold was letting the 2 cars behind him go through. And then he just got involved in the incident, which he probably didn't expect to happen. He's going to have to clean those tyres up. Will he stay out? No, he will not. So he'll revert back to medium tyres, and we will join the battle at the front. It's Jake, Casper, Corey, and Owen Wyatt in tow. Let's see what this looks like from Corey's perspective. Certainly more a part of the leading battle this season than he was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, he's right in there at the moment, as Owen Wyatt's also bringing Nick Egan with him, so it's a top 5 here, all within half a second. There's movement down further back. Jamie Numbers is off, and Pete Knighton's got a 10-second penalty, so I believe he's had something to say about that incident. And Arnold and Tony have obviously made their first mandatory?
Both of them, yeah. Now that's 1 mandatory.
First mandatory stop.
So there you go.
I love this track. I know you love it too. The way you swing your car around and attack all the corners of this track.
Yeah, big fan.
You really see it when they're chasing each other. Casper goes for the move and collects the fastest lap on lap 5. And he takes the lead as Corey looks to try and make the move as well. Follow through against Jake up the inside, but I think Jake is going to have the traction and keep hold of P2. So Corey stays where he is. It's for the Finn that takes the lead.
Yep. It's almost like Corey doesn't want to lose touching distance to Casper, who's checked out by 6/10 of a second in Sector 1 alone here. Nick and Owen still very much in this fight, as Jake has a moment there in turn 4, but collects it up. And I think he has now regathered some of that time back to Casper. As you say, that Miami type livery looking very good under the Qatari lights. But Corey, as I said a lap ago, looking very, very fast as Jake runs wide. Corey now has a run on him. Down the inside he goes and up into P2. Mr. Dalton makes a move. as the gap to Casper is now over a second. Can he try and bring it back so that the Finn doesn't escape? We also saw Owen Wyatt really wide the corner behind these two, as he has a great front row seat of Jake versus Corey as they come up to the final corner. Then will there be any more dealings on this lap, or will we have to wait again? Owen Wyatt throwing that car around. He's sideways out the final turn. Nick Egan won't be coming with him this lap, but DRS open for all of them along the main straight. Owen Wyatt looks to the left. Jake down the inside of Corey gives him racing room, and there's a battle for P2 here, Matt Lester.
There is indeed. Corey getting squeezed out. Jake makes it through. Owen's really on the back. Corey has pushed a lot of his battery and is now paying for it. Owen Wyatt is all over the back of his diffuser. Corey pushed really hard to try and get in the DRS of Casper, who is really trying to check out. He's on the verge, still on the verge of that 1 second mark. And now it's Jake's job to keep him within and not let him get away. But Corey's the man under pressure at the moment, and it's starting to string out a little bit between his top three.
Certainly is, as he had another snap there, did Corey Dalton, and Owen Wyatt getting impatient behind as he runs a little bit wide. He was pushing Corey through the first few corners of this lap, whilst Nick Egan, don't rule him out yet. 2 tenths behind Owen Wyatt here, sitting in P5. But all these cars, they're moving about through the corners. It's a really good car control from all of them, and very much a second and a half separates the 5 of them as we head on to another lap here. It's lap 8 in Qatar, and it's turning out to be a good one so far. Certainly, if you like pure racing, let's go on board with Casper and look back. It's 3/4 of a second behind. It's a big enough gap to defend as he heads into turn 1 then. Jake P2, Corey P3.
And remember, only 1 DRS zone on this track, so you need to be within about half a second to make the most of that DRS and get overtakes done on the home finish straight. Obviously, Casper had about 7-8 tenths to play with, so nice and comfortable for him. But I'm just watching Nick Egan at the back, taking his time. Loads of time left in this race, not burning his battery. I think he's one to look out for so far.
Certainly, with the likes of Arnold and Tony, who Tony, by the way, just makes a move for P14 over Jordan Lane, who has just pitted. He's in that direct fight for playoff points with Nick Egan. But with Tony and Arnold so far down the order, Nick very much a serious candidate for the race win here this evening. We don't like to jinx it, but he come close in Imola, and he certainly has the potential. And as you say, Matt Lester, he's just not making any mistakes, is he? He's putting the car where he needs to, whereas the 4 in front of him are really, really pushing. In fact, the gap to Casper has now dropped to half a second as Jake O'Sullivan looks to try and regain the lead of this race as Casper leads his 3rd lap of the night. But certainly I think Nick Egan, as he's going to go for a move on the outside of Owen Wyatt here. Can he make it stick? Looking back from Corey's car, Nick to the inside. Owen Wyatt holds on and has the grip on the exit of turn 1 there. Into turn 2 they go, and Nick Egan just eyeing up Owen Wyatt, the man from Northern Ireland, seeing what he thinks of that as we now look at Corey. Very, very good racing from these 5. Is there anything else going on? Let's look at Sullivan Lewis. He's chasing OKK, who, by the way, is running in P6. We hadn't noticed that thus far.
Yeah, I think he started P17, P18 in this race, so very nice start from OKK, sitting there in P6. Pete Knighton has just broken into the top 10, overtaking Bazza, and he's setting his sights on Yuri as Sullivan picks up a penalty, so that's not going to help in his pursuit of Michael O'Kk ahead of him.
Yeah.
But apart from that, the top 5 are the closest on track at the moment, and they stay as they are, line astern.
Yep, they really are. So we will rejoin this top 5. It is as we end lap 9. Jake and Corey dive for the pit. So I was about to say it's Casper, Jake, Corey, Owen and Nick. It's now Casper, Owen, Nick, OKK and Sullivan, your top 5, as I'm sure that Jake and Corey will drop down the order any second now as the 2 behind them cross the line. There it is, OKK P4. But with those two cars pitting, it means Casper now has a 1.2 second lead over Owen Wyatt, who has somewhat broken away from Nick Egan, but he's not dropped him by any means. 6/10 is the gap here for the man running in P3. Penalty for Michael O'Keke, so he equals what Sullivan did on the previous lap. They are now status quo on penalties. Jori Haselager P6 is 6 seconds away from those guys. Tony gets past Dustin Rocco further down the order. And again, we have to comment. Nick just looks so composed as we see another lockup from Owen Wyatt. And the gap to Casper increases up to half a second there, just in that corner alone. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt Lester, but the undercut is the powerful one around here.
Yes, I was just going to say the question to ask now is, do these three respond to Jake and Corey as they come round the final corner? And Casper is going to respond. Owen also. Nick decides to keep going, playing the long game. But it has been looking on board a lot of these medium runners, these tyres starting to lose their grip. For some of them, they haven't had grip since lap 1. But most of them are starting to lose the grip from what they did have, and they both come back out on mediums. Let's see where they're going to come out.
Jake and Corey have only just rounded the final corner, so the undercut is, or the overcut actually I should say, is the more powerful one, it would appear. We were wrong. Where is he? Owen Wyatt
has done the jump.
He has indeed done the jump, so we were wrong, Matt Lester. It's the overcut.
We know nothing.
Yep. Which means then, if Nick Egan gets this right, he'll come out, I would say, just in front of Owen Wyatt. It's a net P2 waiting for Nick Egan at this point, I would say, because Casper's lead was so great on his in-lap that I don't think Nick will jump him. Nick, by the way, did lead lap 10.
I believe Casper is looking good. He's got a car in between him as he has passed GS. So does Nick stretch this tyre? He does. He keeps going. I think Nick is doing the right thing.
Yep. Maybe even hanging out for a safety car. It would give him a guaranteed lead. But where in this field can you see the likelihood of a safety car? Maybe Casper coming up to the back of No Brain Cell Jori, who's running in P4 at the minute, has a moment on exit, recovers it, but this will be an easy pass. Although we said that when Khalifa and Pete come to blows here 2 seasons ago. Jori doesn't fight it. And through goes Casper back up to P4 on those fresh mediums. Remember, stage 1, lap 20, and then the drivers have the second stage on lap 22, and meaning they can pit lap 23. Gives us a 6-lap sprint to the end when we bring out the checkered flag for 29. Thank you again to those of you who are joining us this evening. Owen Wyatt has now got past Jori. No, he hasn't. That's Jake behind him. I do apologise. In fact, Owen Wyatt is still 2.2 seconds away from Jori, and he's just had an awful corner there. I think he'll be anticipating Jake to get a little bit closer on this lap after that, who has dropped Corey. Look at this. This is not good. And yellow flags.
Our leader's off. Our leader's off.
The leader is off.
In the gravel. Nick Egan, what has gone wrong? The man we said was sitting comfortable has had a nightmare, and that is going to put him way back. Surely he's got to box it now,
He has to now.
Is an embarrassing moment. No, he keeps
doesn't.
going.
Maybe now he is waiting for the safety car to come and save him. Denies Michael O'Keke of leading a lap, who still keeps Sullivan behind him. How much longer, though? Into turn 1 they go. It's an easy pass for Sullivan, as O'Keke locks up and nearly runs into the back of him. Gets away with it, though. So, not a new race leader. The race lead retained by Nick Egan, but damage has been done. His 16-second lead is now just less than 6.
Yeah, and Casper's really got.
Oh, and Sullivan's around nearly. What a save that was! That was fantastic stuff. And then OKK runs wide. There's contact between these two. Casper, meanwhile, is starting to lurk behind them, and he will be looking for an easy pass back up into P2. But will Sullivan and Michael make it as easy as he wants it to be? The Finn then in P4, down the inside of Sullivan. Contact. No, he gets away with it. That's one of them out of the way with. Now he sets his sights on Michael OKK. Further up the road he is.
Finn's not hanging about, he's in the groove and he wants to get past these two squabbling guys that have clearly started to lose the rear tyres, and now he's stuck on the rear of OKK, who is flashing like crazy, and that is going to be an easy pass. And Casper up into P2, he's in the groove, this is the man to beat for now.
Sure is. Meanwhile, Nick led another lap there. And also, because of the issues that OKK and Sullivan were having, they actually helped Nick regain a second lead. But since Casper's got back past OKK, he's got that back down to 6.5 seconds. So Nick definitely not on the preferred tyre. Maybe he's trying something a little different, which we love to see. The top 5. Go on.
No, so I was going to say someone who might have tried something different is Corey. You might notice he's not with Owen and Jake now. He's behind Yuri by 1.5 seconds. A mistake maybe somewhere for Corey.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, Matt Lester. I'm actually staying with the OKK and Sullivan-Lewis fight. This one's looking really good, actually, especially when you consider the qualifying lap that OKK provided us. It wasn't very good. His racecraft has been excellent so far in this one. And it's good to see drivers like these two up the front and fighting. Nick Egan pits, by the way. Does he lead the lap, or will that be Casper? Casper takes it on the line then. And OKK pits. Sorry, Sullivan pits, I should say. From what was P3.
Yeah, so we're nearly back to our original top 5. It's just Michael OKK yet to pit, although he did pit right at the start of the race, so we've had all mandatory stops now.
Yes, we have, including the 3 stops apiece for Tony and Arnaud, who still linger at the back of this grid. Arnaud at the very back, he needs a safety car, as does Tony, but he's a little bit closer to the action. Pete Knighton in front of him. In fact, Arnaud, as we talk about him, leaves the session. So a safety car really is going to do very little for him at this current time. And he manages to rejoin. Here's OKK coming under pressure from Owen Wyatt, and Jake O'Sullivan has got back to him, but he hasn't got past him yet. Corey is 2.5 seconds behind this. Then you've got the German of Mike Kaltenborn in the way, and then Nick Egan come out P7. But as we look at Owen and Jake fighting, sorry, Owen and OKK, it brings Jake O'Sullivan right back into this. Final corner then, OKK will pit. Casper leads another lap, but it means that Owen Wyatt is now exposed. Maybe helps a little bit with some DRS here, but Jake is closing towards turn 1. Looks down the inside of Owen Wyatt, makes a move. He's not quite side by side with him, and Owen Wyatt holds on to fight for another lap, and there's contact, and somehow Owen Wyatt does not get turned by Jake. I think Jake will... He did indeed lift off. He gave him the position back there. An error on Jake's part, but the racing continues here. Owen Wyatt will be startled by that as he locks up again. He's really enjoying the lockups today. As Jake has a moment on exit. Yellow flags have come out though. Who for Matt Lester?
Michael OKK coming out of the pits. Not a good start on this new tyre, and he's got end plate damage as well. He will be furious with himself. P10, a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Missing end plate. That is a dire pit stop.
And a hell of a queue of cars behind him as well. Yuri, Jess, Bazza, Pete Knighton. Look at this. It's carnage behind OKK. As Yuri looks to go around him, and that's what he does. Does Jess come through and follow? No, she doesn't. OKK blocks the way. Pete Knighton to the inside of Jess. And through he goes. And he is bringing Bazza and Jamie Griffiths with him. Jamie Griffiths, by the way, on the podium on Tuesday night in Miami. I had to think where you were racing then. As Jake does get past Owen Wyatt. No contact this time, I assume. But OKK seems to have got his act together, and he's now back up to speed, trying to hunt down Yuri, who passed him just now.
Yeah, Jamie just had a moment as well, so he's actually slipped off the back of these lot, and Tony's gained a position. So there's a nice little train here, as well as Jake and Owen at the front. Have you seen something?
Yeah, I was looking at Jamie Griffiths in the penultimate corner. Had a right old swivel on. Managed to recover the car though. Tony eyeing up the back of Bazza. This could be tasty into turn 1. To the outside of the Welshman. And around he goes. Nice and easy. Bazza doesn't even fight that one. Not too hard anyway. And now Tony is stuck behind Jess. Will he make this an easy job? He goes to the outside, and yes it is. Nice and easy. Next up will be the easiest of the bunch. It's Pete Knighton. Jordan gets past Sullivan. Yeah, Jordan, of course, now only 2 positions away from Nick Egan. Remember, that duel for the playoff points continues this week and next. Very, very important. A handful of playoff points as we stay on board. Tony Kirkpatrick running in P12. Damage on lap 1 is the reason why he is here. Owen gets back past Jake as Casper continues to lead by over 7 seconds here in Qatar. But Tony is now right on the back of Pete, who just lets him go. That one really, really easy. And now he's got a 1.2 second gap to Yuri, who is at the bottom of the top 10. Still in the top 10, but at the bottom of it, as Tony looks to recover this race. OKK must have pitted again, by the way, as he is now last in front of Arnaud, who did rejoin. But Casper is about to lap Michael OKK, who is very much in this race and was fighting for the podium positions just a few laps ago until it all went wrong. Casper will make a move down the inside, but OKK is not yielding like one would expect. In fact, he's really, really fighting Casper here, trying to stay on the lead lap, and it's what we love to see. This is perfectly legal in JACKOCAR. There's the 10-second penalty that you all would have been expecting. But in JACKOCAR rules, there is nothing wrong with that. OKK having a nightmare race as he now gets out the way and is 1 lap down on Casper, who leads lap 18. 2 laps to go then until we see the first stage winner.
Yeah, Michael will be pretty upset about that as Jake actually gets back in front of Owen Wyatt. So these 2 trading positions, and I think I see Corey just behind them, crawling his way back into this. He's slowly but surely going to join this and make it a 3-way fight for the podium positions, and they're going to need a safety car really to get Casper back in, because he's just eking out more and more time. It's 7.7 seconds now for the Finn at the front, and he's sitting pretty. In terms of the club card shootouts, Nick Egan has got a nice healthy, I believe, about 18-19 seconds on Jordan Lane, so he's got a good gap, and he can just take the rest of this one pretty and bring home a P5, or hope that the ones in front trip each other up.
You can hope, certainly. P5 is a good day out for Nick Egan, though. I'm sure he would take it. I'm sure he is also ruining that mistake when he was in the lead of this race, as Owen continues to harass the back of Jake O'Sullivan. Corey is there, but not there. Casper leads lap 19 and brings us on to lap 20. Yellow flags for Sullivan. He's passed on the inside there by Dustin. He will recover, but mistakes are being made. So a late safety car, we wouldn't be mad to that. It's been a somewhat decent race, actually. I'm sure a safety car at this stage would only make it better.
It would spice the ending of this Grand Prix up very nicely, and we've got a classic term that we don't usually hear much now, but it's a classic Kia field spread in the Cup here, but we don't really get the Kia spread this season. But I think, yeah, drivers have slipped up themselves, and others have gained damage from battling hard and low grip. So there is quite a spread. But as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom right, you've got the top, the second to fourth with Owen Wyatt, Jake, and Corey. You've got a bit of a midfield battle in there as well, which I believe is Jordan Lane, Dustin, and Tony, as OKK again is ignoring his blue flags. What a man. And then there's more action further down as well with others, mainly speed drivers, just racing against each other. So here goes Jake on Owen. They trade places once again, and Corey is definitely now involved in this, Jacko. He's within half a second.
I was going to say, thank you, Matt Lester. You took the words right out of my mouth there. Jake passes Owen, and Corey Dalton is very much a part of the battle all of a sudden. So as Matt Lester alluded to, it is a three-car battle for the two remaining playoff places, as Casper has the 8-second lead. It needs a safety car. Otherwise, Casper's well on his way to a second win this season. It would be 11 wins all time as well, which would tie him with Kyle Smith and Kieran Spears. Corey has a little moment, but recovers. And yeah, this. I was going to say Casper does have a mistake in him, but he has looked, I dare say, the best driver all evening. That's what I think.
Yeah, we haven't seen a fault from the Finn at all, so I don't expect to see one. But as you say, prone to a mistake here and there, as is everyone. But now, as we come up to and start the second stage lap, obviously Casper took the first stage, and I believe Jake and Owen are going to trade places once again. Corey just not within the battle just yet. He's within the DRS, but unable to get involved and clash swords, as Jake's actually going to fight back with Owen, but not able to get anywhere. But these two are now starting to push. Jake knows with this penalty, we have to take that into consideration, that he's going to need a lot of time. He's going to need 3 seconds more time. So Jake needs these guys to pick up penalties and to gain time to have any chance of being on this podium.
Oh dear.
And yeah, you're allergic to penalties, aren't you, Jacko?
I sure am. I hope you're suitably wet after that, though. With
soaking.
With Jake's what is now 6 seconds of penalties, it will actually start to light up the eyes of Nick Egan in P5, who is 5 seconds behind this battle. If he can find a second without going off the track this time, he'll certainly be in a place to maybe even capitalise on Jake, who's currently P3. It would promote Nick to P4, and look how close these three all are. Casper gets the strategy correct and stays out, which means he can pit this time around. Softs to the end, and here goes Jake on Owen Wyatt down the inside, nice and easy. Will Corey entertain the idea of trying to get past Owen? It would be in his interest. Of course, the points Owen scores really have no real value because he's a reserve driver. So, you know, it's very much a pride run for Owen Wyatt. Of course, a big fan of pride is Owen, our very own gay little Northern Irishman. As Corey now starts to look at the back of Owen Wyatt. Think of what you will. You know, I'm not insinuating anything with his perky little bottom. Absolutely. Yep. Corey runs P4, Nick P5. He is now under 7 seconds, so he is being encouraged by the 6 seconds that Jake has. And Casper has just sort of calmed down a bit. 7.5 seconds now. He's not extending anymore. He has just kept it around a comfortable sort of time. Oh, and Wyatt really is the closest fight on track. Actually, I tell a lie. It's Dustin and Sullivan who's sideways once again. And this is for P9. Expect pitters in the near future. But Casper stays out. As we see the three behind him all pit on the same lap. This is going to be very, very interesting at the end on who gets second, third and fourth. And fifth as well. Nick rises to P2. And we see Yori and Jamie Griffiths battling for what is P12 in Qatar here.
Jake opting to go on the medium. We know he's got the 6 seconds penalty, so he is hoping for a bit of a miracle to end up on this podium, but no surprise, Owen Wyatt and Corey Dawson on the soft tyre. Corey needs this soft tyre because he hasn't looked the strongest in straight line speed. So he's going to be hoping in these next 5 laps that he's going to be able to show some of that on a soft set. And he's actually dropped out of the DRS now, so he's got some work to do already on this outlap.
Yeah, as OKK picks up yet another penalty. We will, for everyone's entertainment, look at the penalties. It is 29 seconds for Michael OKK. Not what he would have wanted. And a lap down, of course. Back to your tyres. So it's Owen and Corey, the only ones on the softs. Jake has preferred the medium. And they are 3 seconds behind Nick Egan as we see Casper pit this time around. He will lead lap 24. Is that correct? It is indeed.
Yeah.
And has he got this just right? He had a 7.5 second lead when the 3 guys behind him pitted. But it's Nick Egan is the one we're interested in. What's happened to Jake? He's about to be overtaken by Owen Wyatt, I can tell you that much.
Really wide. He is. He went really wide on the final turn. Somehow stayed ahead of Owen, but Owen on the straight, obviously with the DRS, takes the position. Corey, again, nowhere to be seen in the battle, but he is still there.
Sure is, as we see Nick getting done, as the kids say, by Tony Kirkpatrick, who has to make another stop still. So he'll no doubt be going for fastest lap at the end. So we'll assume that Nick is P5, but he is very much outside of the window to benefit from Jake's penalty. So it is Corey who is running net 3 and Owen Wyatt P2. Casper's lead only 6.5 seconds now. As everybody really starts to settle down, as it has been settled for quite a while in fact. And as you say, Matt Lester, the field spread is Kia-like. The closest battle on track is this one between second and third, but it holds no real meaning because of the Jake O'Sullivan penalties. Into the final corner they come once again. All it does is it will slow Owen Wyatt down, but I don't think it'll have any major lasting effect on the end result. Jake to the inside, Corey sets the fastest lap, and up into P2 goes Jake O'Sullivan. As we see Tony Kirkpatrick pit, and very nicely done. Corey, P4. And it is, again, I come back to this, is in his interest to get in front of Owen Wyatt. But can he do it with 4 laps to go here in Qatar?
Yeah, this is the time to do it, because the 2 in front of him keep swapping positions, so he wants to take Owen and then take Jake and get that car in between himself and Owen. And also someone who's not had the best of outlaps, Nick Egan, held up by Tony, who was yet to pit, has now pitted, and is now 9 seconds off this group, so fading chances of getting involved in the podium via Jake's penalties.
Yep. What am I going to leave up? I'm just going to leave up the names for the remainder of this race. I think this is going to be our last opportunity for a safety car as well. Casper now with the fastest lap. That won't last, because I'm sure this man will have something to say about it. Another penalty for Yuri. Oh, I feel really naked without the timings up. Let's change that. I know you'll like that thought.
Yeah, it went straight into my head.
Good.
These guys are really pushing. The guys fighting for the podiums are really pushing on their batteries. I think
look at this.
Really, really tight. All within a tenth of each other, really. A couple of tenths. And they're pushing on. This is where mistakes can happen, though. The harder you push, as I see and I hear, a few lockups, but they stay line astern.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting finale to this Qatar Grand Prix.
And Nick's only job this evening was to finish ahead of Jordan. He's still doing that. But attention will remain on the Owen Jake Corey fight, as Dustin Rolko picks up a 3-second time penalty. On out in the pit lane. Tony, by the way, spending most of the race in P16, is out in P7. That is for a genuine position, as Owen Wyatt gets loose and lively. Just how Matt Lester likes his woman, but they will encourage Jake O'Sullivan and Corey to have a go as they round the final corner. Then it is lap 28. It's 2 to go here in Qatar. Then who makes the move? Corey Dalton's been very conservative all evening, but now he's got a double run here. He's done 1. Can he do 2 around the outside of Jake O'Sullivan? No, they break early. And Jake holds on, but it does give Corey Dalton the position. That's now 39 seconds of penalties for Michael Okeke, by the way. Corey just has to hold off Owen Wyatt, and he'll have a P2 finish in this race. Yellow flags are flying, and they're a bit too late for us. It's the recovering Sullivan Lewis there in P16. Okeke is about to be lapped by Jamie Griffiths, who runs P10. And by the way, there is the fastest lap from Tony Kirkpatrick, as we anticipated. What else is going on? Just 1/3 of a lap to go before we have to say what we like to say. Nick P5, Mike Kelterborn having a good race actually in P6, 6 seconds clear of Tony Kirkpatrick. And then it's Jordan, Pete and Jamie who round out the top 10. It's been a good race.
Oh, what's happened here? There's a back marker getting involved in the fight at the front. It's Yuri. Yuri getting in the way.
So it is.
Oh, was it Yuri?
We're going to have to leave it though, Matt Lester, because you'll never believe it. It's 1 lap to go in Qatar. Not sponsored by Credit One Bank, as we're not legally obliged to say that. And Corey is now ahead of P2, but look at Owen Wyatt going down the inside of Corey Dalton. Can he make that move stick? We're going to go on board with him, but Corey has the outside. Owen Wyatt's got the better run though, around the outside of turn 2 now. Contact, perfectly legal, and 3-second penalty. That is job done by Corey Dalton. He can let Owen go now. No issues whatsoever. Jake finds himself in P4. That's where he'll finish. In fact, I tell you what, Nick Egan may get involved in this, as his 9-second gap has become less than 6. So it's all going on here on the final lap. But Owen Wyatt Corey Dalton forcing the penalty on Owen Wyatt means he is now confirmed for P2, unless he gets a ridiculous penalty later on. But whilst all that's been happening, Casper has extended his lead then to nearly 10 seconds. And like we said earlier, if he wins it here, which he most certainly will, he ties Kyle Smith and Kieran Spears for 11 wins all time. He's already celebrating. It's job done. He's already in the playoffs as well. Casper Klein of Finland gets the job done here in Qatar. And then we've got a long, long wait for Owen Wyatt and Corey, who are still going at it to the line. It doesn't matter. Corey's P2. Owen is P3. Jake, we wait. He lets Nick go, who finishes P4, and that gives him a huge advantage over Jordan Lane, who is still racing around this track. A huge advantage in the club car duel. At least, what's that going to be? 4 or 5 points. He had a 1-point lead coming into tonight, but it does mean it goes to Austria to decide who will take home those playoff points. Mike Kelterborn, P6. Tony, fastest lap, and P7. It is indeed Jordan next into the final corner. He comes then P8, very quiet race. Not a lot more he could have done. He celebrates the P8. In fairness, you look at the names above him, it is worth celebrating. Pete Knighton then, P9, just the one spin to note. And Jamie Griffiths completes the top 10 as he swipes Arnaud over the line. You saw that, right? In fact, Arnaud comes home P9 due to his lack of penalties. Pete Knighton is 10th. Then it's Dustin. Jamie Griffiths has dropped to 12th. I wonder if Jess will get him because she's had no penalties. No. So Bazza will be 14th with in that ugly-ass livery. Then it's Yuri. And the others have already finished. So yeah. Well, that was Qatar.
And no Yuri at the end trying to lick the wall.
Trying his very best.
Speed Tony gets driver of the day. I have to say, Tony and Mike, very good recovery drives from the start, both getting damaged. So I think P6 and P7 respectively for them. So well done to those two.
Yep, indeed. I will let Matt Lester talk you through the final standings, even though I've just already done it. But you do your bit. This is all you.
The Finn comes home and finishes in first. Corey does take second after giving Owen Wyatt a penalty, which he'll be very pleased about. But it's a P3 podium for Owen. Nick Egan takes more strides against Jordan Lane. He finishes P4, Jake in P5, Mike Kelterborn in P6. It's Tony, the speedster, in 7th. Jordan Lane in P8. He'll be happy with that, even though he's dropped points on Nick. Arnaud P9 after a horrendous start for him. P10 is Pete Knighton, and then the rest is as follows. Dustin, Jamie Numbers, Jess, Barry Baldwin, Yuri Haselager, Sullivan Lewis, Michael Okeke, and Quinn did not even complete a lap after his internet was clearly way too much. And that was the Qatari Grand Prix in the Cup Series, and that leaves one race left for the regular season.
It does indeed, and if I had the numbers in front of me, which I don't because they're to my side, I'd be able to tell you if Jake O'Sullivan was regular season champion or not. I anticipate with a 19-point lead coming into tonight that he is probably untouchable.
Ahead of whom, may I
ask? Kieran and Arnaud. So yeah, it does confirm then that Jake O'Sullivan will win the regular season. I don't need numbers when I know the answer.
Wow.
I know.
Lost for words.
Thank you. What are the other ones? I think Kieran, Ben Harrah, and someone else are fighting for the other guaranteed playoff points for being in the top 4 at the end of round 6. It might be Arnaud, it might be Corey, it might be Casper. I really don't know. But regular season champion for season 10 is Jake O'Sullivan. And I'm sure yourself, Matt Lester, and a handful of others will join us next week for Austria to conclude the regular season, round 12. But of course, what's more important than that is we go to Austin, Texas in the Kia Series for the Kia Series 100th race and also the league owners' 100th career start. You won't want to miss it. Tuesday night. Any final words, Matt Lester, or shall we just end this abysmal stream?
Oh, abysmal is a bit harsh.
Awful, then.
Yeah, well, I'll take it.
Okay. So no final words is what you're telling me?
Well, there were final words, but there were final words on your words.
Okay.
So, no, but yes.
In that case, job done. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much.